Hi guys, welcome to my channel. My name is Kyra and today we're going to be talking about some of the products that I just do not use as much as I thought I would, and we're going to talk about the reasons why. I think the only way that this video is helpful to me or to anyone else is if we dissect why I think I don't use these products as much. Today's side note, I am wearing the ColourPop Lippy Stick. This is the satin formula in the shade Topanga. It's a beautiful coral shade, as you can see. This is what I don't reach for a lot because it's in that creamy satin formula and it is a more bold color and I don't want it to travel outside my lip line. Genius moment. Today I blotted it and it's like a matte lip all over again. Alright, so I have a handful of products. We're going to get into it now. I'm going willy-nilly, just completely out of order of any kind. The first product is the Juvia's Place Saharan Blush Palette Volume 2. This is really, really pretty. Like, both my sister and I ended up purchasing this palette at the same time. BTW, I'm still a little sicky, so if I sound kind of nasally, that's why. Thank goodness though I wasn't sick for longer. Specifically, these two shades in the middle are absolutely beautiful, glowy blushes right here. The formula is impeccable. I like mixing these. However, I just don't use these blush as much as I thought I would. So one of the questions I want to ask myself about these products is, what did I imagine this product would bring to my life when I purchased it or to my collection? And for me, these are really unique blush shades. I mean, aside from maybe this light pink, which is very similar to the pink in the Deuce palette, is it not? Just saying. But like this orange, certainly this brownish nude color, this purple, and then these beautiful glowy blushes. I love these. So I really thought this would bring some unique colors to my collection. So the other question I want to ask is, how much did I actually believe I was going to use this product when I purchased it? And I don't know that I thought that I would use it all the time. I think maybe with these two shades, I definitely thought I would use a lot more than I have, which is practically none. But I think this, I was thinking this will be the unique blush palette in my collection. And then the last question is why I think I don't use this as much as I thought I would. And some of the possibilities, some of them are excess in that particular category. I found something I like better, bought it for a fantasy self, or didn't live up to my expectations. I think this is a combination of those answers. Number one, I definitely have an excess in the blush category. But I also think on some level, I purchased this for a fantasy self that can wear any shade of blush. And while I love all shades of blush, I think the ones that are most appropriate for my very warm skin tone are either neutral or very warm. And these are, within that category, but I don't know that I am a really unique blush person. I mean, I've seen some palettes come out lately that have yellow blush in them. I love yellow. Yellow's my favorite color, but I could never wear a yellow blush. Like, I just know it wouldn't look good on me, and I know I could not rock that. So I think ultimately the reason that I don't use this as much as I thought I would is because I just have too many blushes, as well as my reality self doesn't wear super unique blushes very often. Next one will be really easy and quick to unpack, and that is the Pixi by Petra Correction Concentrate in the shade Brightening Peach. I have had this literally since the beginning of my channel. It's probably drying out, and I kept it through my declutter, which you'll see, but I think ultimately I will end up decluttering this after all, because I don't have dark circles under my eyes, or at least not the kind that can't be corrected with concealer. So this is something that just doesn't meet a need that I have personally, which is something quite different than what the blush palette was about, right? But I really, what did I think it would bring to my life? Well, I thought it would bring me perfect under eyes. How much did I think I would use it? All the time, or I wouldn't have purchased it, to be honest, because this is a very utilitarian type thing. If I have a choice between spending money on a utilitarian thing like this that I don't need, or, something like this that is fun to play with, I'm going to choose the fun thing almost every time. So this is really easy to say that it's just not something that I needed, and that's why I don't use it. I've tried to force myself to use it, but it's silly. I mean, it really is silly because I don't need it. That's why. Next, let's talk about this little BECCA Shimmering Skin Perfector pressed in the shade Vanilla Quartz. This is a really pretty highlighter. It is duochrome. It has a very light base with like pinky peachy gold reflex. It's probably not going to show up all that well. I mean, I've made a dent in this. I would say I'm darn near close to hitting pan on it. That being said, that's not very hard to do with a BECCA highlighter. I think they're easy to hit pan on if you're dedicated in using them. This, however, is only right for my skin when I'm at my palest, like now. And when I'm at my most pale, I'm not really looking for something flashy like a duochrome. I'm more so looking for like a vanilla, champagne, light gold or peach. I thought that I would use this product a lot because I love the color of it. It definitely is unique. Oh, there you can see the shift pretty well. I think it's relatively unique to my highlighter collection. I don't have anything else like this. I do think I'll use it up eventually. I'll just have to make a concerted effort to do that. But, I thought this would be unique to my collection, and it is. I just don't use this as much as I thought I would because I have ones that I like better, as well as I do have an excess. Not nearly the amount of excess I do in blush and other categories, but I do have an excess of highlighters, and I think that's why I didn't use this as much as I thought I would, and it took me a couple of years to get that dent in there. Next is a package deal because it's kind of a line of products, but they are my Huda Obsessions palettes. Let's go ahead and start with the Mauve Obsessions because I purchased this one for myself, and it was my first Obsessions palette. I really like the idea of this 9-pan palette. I like that it's in a certain color story. When I purchased it, I thought that this would add, this color story. I liked the monochromatic idea. This was before the ColourPop monochromatic palettes had come out on the scene, and before I learned about monochromatic stories and how I feel about them now. But I really just thought that this would like cover my mauve bases, right? It has every version of mauve in here that you can imagine, plus a plum and a cream and a taupe. And I really thought I would use this quite a bit because I used to really like putting pink on my eyes, and I frequently got compliments when I would wear pink on my eyes. The reason I don't think I use this, obviously I have an excess of eyeshadow palettes, that's a given, but I do also think that I just got things that I like better after this, that were also maybe even in the mauve color family, but just a formula that I like better. I do like the shimmers in this palette, however the mattes, especially the 3 deeper mattes here, I just find to be really dry, chalky, hard to blend. It's just not my favorite formula. Let's talk about the Emerald Obsessions. This was a beautiful birthday gift from a friend, and I desperately wanted this palette, which is why she was generous and purchased it for me for my birthday. And again, I do like the shimmer shades in here, but I don't like the matte shades, and therefore this is not like an all-inclusive palette for me. And so it's something that really doesn't get used in my collection. Again, I have an excess of eyeshadow in my collection, but I really thought I would use this a ton because I love green eyeshadow. I'm wearing green eyeshadow today, not from this palette, because I never reach for it. But I think partially it just didn't live up to my expectations either. There's so many different formulas in here. I think that's part of it. This shade right here, while really, really beautiful, is also pretty sheer, more of a topper shade, and that was kind of a letdown. As well as these two more chunky shimmers right here they appear very similar on the eyes, and it's the same case with these two shimmers right here in the mauve palette. They both look very similar on the eyes. And when you've got a 9-pan palette, there's just no room for repetition, in my opinion. The mattes in here I thought performed fine. Again, this is not an all-inclusive palette for me. It didn't perform the way I thought it was going to. A lot of the formulas were different than I thought they were going to be. And so I just don't use these as much as I thought I would. Oddly enough, I have a hard time letting go of them though. Last product for today, let me know if you'd like to see this video again. I could certainly do this just all with eyeshadow palettes, another video like this. But the last product is the case of something I found that I like better than this product, and that is the Urban Decay Born to Run palette. I do like this palette, do not get me wrong. I like this palette, I like the formula, I like the color story. I think this is a really great palette from Urban Decay. It's so far less boring than a lot of their palettes. But the palette that I got at a very similar time to the Born to Run palette that I like better is the Urban Decay Elements palette. This was from holiday 2018, and my hubby actually picked this out for me. And while looking at these two color stories, it's almost similar in terms of the colors that are included, but this is a little bit more edited, and this is quite a bit more bright than this one, as well as there's a couple duochromes in here, and it's just a little bit more unique. The one drawback to this one is that there's only like there's 4 mattes in this palette. So it's hard to kind of set up an eye look with it, I think, without, you know, dipping into another palette, which is fine. But this palette definitely has a little bit of an excess, and I also think that this formula is just a little bit more punchy in terms of the metallics. I find that this one tends to fall a little bit dull in terms of the metallic or shine factor for me and my eyes. So that's part of it. I do think there's a couple of dead shades in here that just don't perform like they should. So it definitely didn't live up to my expectations in certain ways. And to be frank, I thought I was going to use this all the time. I was like, oh, this is like a neutral palette with a couple pops of my favorite colors. I love berries on my eyes. I love greens and turquoise. And of course, purple looks great on brown eyes as well. So, you know, I thought this would kind of be like my perfect go-to neutral with a pop, and it just didn't turn into that. And again, being fair, I have an excess. So there's a lot of palettes that don't get used as much as I thought they would. The reasons are all different, however. So like I said, if you'd like to see another video like this, focusing on eyeshadow palettes that I don't use as much as I thought I would, I'd be happy to film that for you. Just let me know in the comments below. I hope you enjoyed this video today. I had a lot of fun sort of critically looking at my collection, being honest with myself about the things that I don't use as much as I thought I would, and, you know, determining if I'm going to hold on to them or keep pushing them to the side with the plans to use it more at a later date, at some fantasy later date, when I'm more tan, when you know, when the weather's warmer, when I live in a completely different climate, which isn't going to happen. So with all that being said, thank you so much for spending part of your day here with me today. Nasal, sicky voice, and all. I really appreciate each and every one of you who watches my videos. If you did like this video, you could hit that like button for me and subscribe if you haven't already, because that really helps me out here on the YouTube. And I hope all of your makeup days are absolutely beautiful makeup days. And I will see you in my next video soon.